Hey guys, ZemeraxGaming here with the best in lane video, and this time we're going to be doing the top lane. And this video is currently based off the current patches and the current standing in the meta. And be sure to comment with the people that you think that should be in the top lane as well, that are on my list. And I will also gladly be taking any suggestions or anything like that. And be sure to subscribe, guys, so you don't miss any future videos. When new patches roll out, I will update this video as soon as possible. So anything like that, guys, just make sure you don't miss it, and enjoy. Starting my list off is going to be a champion that was previously number 1. It's going to be Olaf, and actually he was really well that week and that patch, but things have changed, so I decided to move him back up the list. He really does work well in the top lane, you know, that true damage, that CC immunity, and his overall great kit. And he doesn't have many cons other than his poor utility, and he can't miss his Q. So I mean, Olaf still works very well. He's considered a tank killer with that true damage, but I mean, Olaf, he's just slacking off, and I don't see him played, and I don't want to go on about this, but overall I feel Olaf does work well in top lane, but it's not as well he used to, so I decided just to move him up the list. Waltzing her way in is Fiora. Fiora is a champion that has a high damage output and is known for her official title that she's a great duelist. She does excel in the 1v1 situations, and her ultimate works very well in team fights, pretty much any situation where there's 2 or more. But the only downside is she doesn't have that escape ability. Actually, she's the only champion in the league right now that doesn't have one, and she can be kited, and she has little to no CC. So I think Fiora is a good champion, and I did move her up on the list, but overall her kit and stuff, it doesn't really work too well in the meta. That's just up to you guys. If you're playing in the norms or with friends, you know, she's a great champion to pick. Next on my list is Aurelia. Aurelia is a champion that has a lot of potential in the top lane, but you don't really see her played as much as she used to. Aurelia does have some early game problems, you know, especially with the mana expansions. But overall, I think Aurelia is really good with that ability to become a bruiser and have that true damage. And after you get the mana taken care of, she can farm up and down the lane, bullying and harassing, and you know, it's just fun to play as well. The only downside to Aurelia, I really think, is her ultimate is really bad. There is rumor changes coming to this soon, kind of having stacks similar to Akali. That is just a rumor, and she needs her stun. You have to have less health than your opponent. While it is kind of an interesting little tactic, it's not that hard to learn to play with, and actually mastered it within a few days of playing Aurelia. Next on my list is going to be a champion that's been very annoying to the enemy, and that's going to be Tryndamere. Tryndamere is just a great champion with his ability to close gaps, huge amounts of sustain with his Q, and he does carry games very hard. And his ultimate allows him to dive towers very efficiently and just annoy people in team fights. The only real downside is Tryndamere is he's countered very hard by Ignite if you know how to use it very efficiently. When he pops his ultimate, you pop Ignite, you know, and boom, you're dead. But if you pop your Q, that's usually not that big of a deal. And you also are countered by CC. But you know, other than being focused a lot, I don't think Tryndamere's got too many drawbacks. I think you guys should check him out, and he's only a 1350 champion, so you know, why not buy him when he works very well in the top lane. Next on my list is a champion who has seen better days but still works very well in top lane, and it's going to be Rengar. Even after the bush change, I think Rengar still works very well in top lane, with that ability to kind of have that item pool ability, become a pure tank, or just do a huge amount of burst damage. He has got the strong amount of sustain, and he's very, very good at burst damage. It's actually probably higher than Kha'zix. You know, with full build, I just think it's just terrifying to have a Rengar in the top lane. And the ability to roam and just hurt mid, you know, it puts him on the list of being one of the best top laners. Because having a presence in multiple lanes really can help your team to succeed. And I think that Rengar steps up to that plate. He has a really good effectiveness in late game. And the only downside I really think is he can fall behind. Next on my list is Shyvana. Shyvana was considered one of the best top laners of all time. Until her 4.1 nerf, which actually reduced her scalings. So she isn't as good as she used to be, but you know, she still has the ability to become a pure tank. She's completely manaless, and that mobility allows her to get, you know, in people's faces and roam lanes. So she does work very well. She doesn't have any forms of CC other than her ultimate, and that lack of sustain also can bite you in the ass. So guys, you know, make sure if you pick up a Vamp Scepter early. Now, the next champion also has seen better days, and it's going to be Riven. Riven has been a champion, you know, that has been known for her snowballing abilities, that huge gap closers, and she can do a lot of damage as a tank as well. Her scaling is just really good, and you know, the only downside is she can fall off. But the problem is, you know, you're Riven, you don't usually not get fed. You have that potential to carry games, and It's just not many champions can do what Riven can do. So Riven is probably one of the best top laners when it comes to the damage output. Practicality wise, you know, it does work. I just prefer more of a tank. You know, I like to stay as made as close as possible. So I will give Riven a high position even after her nerfs. Next on the list is a champion who's also 13-15. That's Jax. Jax is the champion who is known for outdueling people and carrying the late game harder than any other champion. Now, I think Jax is probably one of the champions that can win almost every single 1v1 fight, and it's just amazing to see him just burst down people. Just one of the funnest champions to play, and you guys should, if not already own him, check him out. He has strong CC, high amounts of damage. He has probably one of the largest item pool in the game, with his ability to go either AD, AP, both. And you know, the only downside is he has little to no sustain in the early game, and his single target damage is his only strong point. He can't really fight too much in the team fights. You know, he does struggle a little bit, but you know, Jax is really good, and he can be countered by exhaust. So I mean, other than that, guys, you know, Jax works very well, and especially in the normal queues where you don't get countered picked. So I recommend you guys check out Jax if you don't already have him. Next on my list is going to be a champion everyone knows is probably one of the best, and one of the most iconic, at least, top lane. That's Nasus. Nasus has the ability to become a pure beast in the late game, high scaling, and a huge amount of destruction on towers and stuff when he stacks his Q. The only downside to him is, you know, he is farm reliant, and, you know, it isn't much of a problem nowadays, especially on lower elos. A lot of people don't know how to react to a fed Nasus or how to prevent him from farming. It's really simple, and I'll probably make a video regarding this later in life. But for now, guys, I just want to say that Nasus is really good in the top lane, and you should check him out. Next on my list is going to be Mundo. This brick wall of a champion does nothing other than, you know, just become a pure tank and just takes every single beating he possibly can. You know, Mundo has high base damage and stuff, but I think he doesn't bring enough to the table as other champions, especially in team fights. You know, a tank, if he doesn't get focused, you know, there's really no point having a tank. You know, I just don't personally see him being the best in the game right now in the top lane. You know, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this, but I think Mundo, he's a great champion, you know, but he is countered by Ignite. He requires his farm, and he is pretty weak until he gets his ultimate. You know, and but you know, he does work very well, especially against AP top laners. I think he does have a lot of potential there. He does rushes with magic resist early, so Mundo is a great top laner. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he is the best. Second on my list is going to be Darius. Darius is a great champion overall and has a lot of potential in the game. Now, he has been nerfed, he's got his setbacks, but Darius still has a lot of potential in the game. He can carry pretty hard, and he does counter Mundo. You know, that bleed does work very well against Mundo, and you know, he's probably one of the hardest champions to counter build, and he doesn't seem to fall off as much as other champions. He always has that presence early and late game. You know, he's got the disrupting abilities, and that execution for an ult, you know, is just really good, and I think he is probably one of the best top laners out there. I didn't choose him as number one, but you know, I think he does work very well, and I'll probably make more about him because, you know, right now he is working so well in this meta, and he has so much potential. Last on my list is going to be Renekton. Renekton's a champion that's just got great cap closing abilities, that huge AoE damage, and just a pure tank. You know, he doesn't have much issues other than he kind of needs to get a few kills in the early game or get a lot of farm, you know, to keep himself going, as you know, being a tank is very expensive, and Renekton does need that money. You know, especially with this new Korean build that has been really popularized lately regarding Renekton with a Ravenous Hydra. Renekton is just really fun to play and doesn't suffer many drawbacks. I think Renekton deserves this position as being the best in the game. And before we wrap things up, guys, these are my honorable mentions: Yorick, Rumble, Garen, and Shen. They work very well in top lane and they have a lot of potential, but right now I don't think they deserve to be on my list. You know, but if you guys think that one of these guys is better than someone on my list, feel free to comment with an argument. I will comment back usually, and I do love to hear it, guys. It's, you know, which kind of makes me happy, and what makes me keep doing these videos is I just love to interact with the YouTube community. So be sure to post that below, and hope you guys have a nice day.